So I'm Michael Knorr. I'm the VP of Marketing and Sales at that company. I've been there about 8 years now. And yes, I'm an alumni from Lake Sumter. It was community college back then. And I went using their Direct Connect program to UCF. So I sat in that row, in the second row. So they gave me quite a few different questions, and if this clicker wants to work for me, maybe not. Point it somewhere. It worked a second ago. Says no. Yeah. Says no. I can click a mouse.
You sure?
Yeah. Not a big deal. As long as that works. Aha. We're good. Yeah, it was computer. All right, so they sent over quite a few questions to me of, just kind of general questions about the industry as well as about myself personally that I'll share with you guys. And then we'll also have a Q&A beyond that if you guys have extra questions about the industry. Before I start, though, I kind of like to know my audience. So are all of you guys going after an IT degree? Are we general AA? So IT degree, raise your hand. Cool. General AA? Okay. We got any business, marketing? Cool. Awesome. So I came here, I got an AA in business, and then went on to UCF for my bachelor's in business administration with a concentration on marketing. So that's my background. IT, however, has a strong play when it comes into the marketing field. They intertwine quite a lot. So one of the first questions they said is, explain, what's that company do? So does anybody know what that company does? What do we do?
You help companies advertise and become on the on the first line of Google page when they do a local search for the company. You guys provide the service that keeps that company up to where that company is found first every time someone clicks locally. That was the main thing I remember. I mean, it was a couple of years ago we had talked, so that was the main thing that stuck in my head.
Okay. So yeah, we really focus on 3 primary services. So we're a marketing firm of about 20 employees. And by the way, the average marketing firm in the state of Florida is 2 employees. There's lots of marketing firms. So we're kind of the anomaly, if you will. So we focus on 3 core competencies. One's called search engine optimization, which is SEO. Have any of you guys heard that term before? Cool, good. It's very, very relevant in today's society. 2 is pay-per-click management. So when we talk about on Google, at the very top, there's the ads, right? It used to be on the right-hand side. Google nixed that. There's no longer ads on the right-hand side. They're just at the top and at the bottom of the page. So where it says ad next to it, when you click on that, it actually costs the money every time that ad's clicked on. So we manage those campaigns for companies because there's a lot of rules and regulations, and you can spend a whole lot of money and not get a lot from it if you don't know what you're doing. And so we manage those. And then 3rd core competency is social media marketing. So I had fun being a student. I got to tell companies of this is what we should be doing on Facebook and Twitter and all these things to interact with other folks, their customers, and how do we acquire customers. That's actually what I was doing when I was going to school. So that's really the 3 things that we focus on. We are a unique situation in the sense that why are we called that company? 1, you're not going to forget it. But 2, we actually are the back-end service provider for other agencies. So if you were to go work for another marketing firm, and let's just say there's ABC Marketing down the street, and they hire you. And let's just say ABC Marketing, they do website development, they do SEO, PPC, social media, all that stuff, right? And let's say you're hired on to do the website development, the coding, building all that out, because that's what they really focus on. Well, we're the guys that are back-end service providers for other firms that don't want to actually have to hire people to do this in-house because it's not their expertise. They don't want to have to figure out how to do SEO or PPC or social. They want to hire a company that's going to talk to their customer as if I was sitting right next to you. So we are actually probably 60 different companies, all these different marketing companies across the U.S. When you call them, we're the guys that are answering the phone underneath their brand name. So it's a really, really fascinating model that we have. That's what we do. So how is the digital marketing field changing? I don't need to tell you guys that technology changes fast. You guys know that. So how is it changing? I think the best way to answer that is to give you a few resources for you to write down. If you're interested in figuring out, hey, how is SEO changing? How is Google AdWords changing? How is social media marketing changing? Beyond just waiting for Facebook to update and go, oh, hey, look, now they have, Facebook Story at the top now, and they're going after Snapchat. Instead of waiting for that, how do you know about that stuff ahead of time? And so some of those resources, if you want to write these down, are Moz, which is M-O-Z. They write a lot about search engine optimization. There is Search Engine Land. It's a really good resource if you want to learn about this. There's Mashable. How many of you guys have heard of Mashable before, at least? Okay, cool. Any of the others, Moz or Search Engine Land, anybody? Okay. Moz is very popular. We use Moz tool sets to do our job. And then, so I would say if you're interested in figuring out the industry, read that. In fact, that's going to be one of my primary recommendations. I wish someone had told me early on, be reading. Get to know this stuff, because that's actually going to be exceptionally valuable as you go into an interview to know what you're talking about. They're going to ask. One of the interview questions we ask is, so what industry resources do you read? And if you give me a blank look, then I know that if someone else comes in and they're saying, well, I'm reading this and this and this, and I'll ask, okay, so what's something new you've learned? Because I want to know that you're a person that isn't just waiting to be told what to do, but is actively going out and proactively learning and growing yourself. That's who we look to hire. So those are a few resources on how's the field changing. So what is the typical education path for the digital marketing industry? There's quite a few routes. There is the IT route, which typically will get integrated into development of applications, of websites, doing all of that coding that's necessary to make it function. That's not what we focus on or do. We actually focus on the marketing of that asset, once a web developer puts it all together. But the IT side leads into all the development. You guys are the ones that, create the great things that I'm then able to market. There's the business and marketing degree. If you go after that, well, then you have a general basis, but you also need some direct experience. And I'm going to say that to everybody is, if you don't have a job already in the field, get one. Go get an internship. I wish someone had really pushed that on me. That's what these guys are doing, is they're saying, hey, let me help you. Let me help you get into the field. Because the folks that really stand out, the folks that get jobs, are the ones that didn't just get a degree. They're the ones that got a degree and they were already working in the field. So I went and got bare level, entry level job at that company after I exited high school. Bottom line, I was running reports for other people, and I was a grunt doing the heavy lifting and being told what to do because I didn't know any of this stuff. But once you start there, then you're able to progress. If all you do is come to me with a degree with no experience, I'm going to say, hey, I need to start you at the lower level, and you're going to be like, wait, I got a degree to get $9 an hour or $10 an hour? The experience is necessary. You need to match that up. So what skills do we look for? We're looking for employees that know how to think, and that's a soft skill. Critical thinking is a soft skill. It's not something that a teacher can go and I can teach you how to think for yourself. But honestly, our worst hires are the ones that just, I finished doing what you told me to do. What can they maybe not even ask. They're not even proactive enough to ask, what can I do next? They're just waiting for instruction. Those employees don't fly with us. It doesn't work because we are not an organization that likes to micromanage. Most of us want to go and work for an organization that doesn't micromanage. We want to be our own boss in a way. I want to own my own destiny. I want to be able to go, I come in, I do my work, no one's, telling me this is exactly how to do it. Give me the flexibility and the freedom to operate the way I need to operate, and I'll make it happen. You give me this general guidelines of, what I am and am not allowed to do. I'll stick inside those, but give me flexibility. That's what I thrive in, and if that's what you thrive in, then, that's what organizations are really looking for. In the beginning, yes, you're not going to know everything. It is okay to go, hey, I don't know how to do that. That's fine. And I actually ask that you would do that. I don't know how to do that. Tell me how to do it. Don't just take on a project. Say, yeah, I got it. I got you, boss. We're good. I got that. It's better to say, I don't know how to do that. Show me how to do it. But also be growing and learning for your own self. So that's a soft skill. But as far as the hard skills, in the marketing field, it's everything from having that coding experience. You got to know the basics, and you have to have a little bit of experience of trial and error of, oh, well, that doesn't work as well as I thought it would. And that's what you're here to get, get some of those basics, but then you got to play with it. Because if all you do is sit here without going home and playing with it and figuring it out on your own, you're only scratching the surface. So the coding experience, the actual marketing experience. So when we hire someone that's going to manage a Google AdWords campaign, so the ads inside Google, right? There's an actual certification that Google provides. You can look it up, AdWords certification. You can, and there's free resources for you to learn how to do it and get a certification. And you do all that online. It is a tough test, I'll tell you that. There are folks that, they need to be in the field for about a year before they can pass that test. So it's something that we look for if you're going to come in as an experienced guy to run a Google AdWords campaign. We're trusting you with the money of our clients, and they spend thousands of dollars every month. So it's really important that we hire really experienced people or people that have demonstrated, I have a certification, I know what I'm doing. Some of the other places or skills you'll need. If you were ever to pursue graphic design, you kind of need some of those skills. I have a full-time guy, his name's Isaac Hale. He works for the Orlando Magic. If you go to the Orlando Magic game, open up a brochure. He made that, as far as the graphics. You go to the Orlando Magic website, he made that. And he's the kind of guy that just, you tell him general direction, and again, he makes it way better than you ever thought it would be. I just say, hey, I would like something like this, and wow, that's amazing. That's what we're looking for. So personal questions for me that they asked were, where did I go to college, what program did I complete, and was I involved in extracurricular activities? So started out here, got my AA, used Direct Connect program to UCF, got my bachelor's there. The entire time I was working for that company. I literally would drive from that company to my course here and drive back to go back to work. And we were right down the road, so it was 5 minutes, so it was convenience, which was nice. And then when I went to UCF, I was able to make arrangements, and this might not always be the case, but I was able to make arrangements of, hey, look, I'm a good employee. Can I work from my dorm room? And I handled Fairwinds Credit Union, their social media marketing campaign from my dorm room at UCF. So my experience in college was atypical in the sense that I didn't do the party thing. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that I didn't have time. If I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was working, and if I wasn't working and doing schoolwork, then my extracurricular activity was intramural basketball. So that's what I did. What challenges did I face during my education? One, I learned in this room that I'm not a coder. I scraped by in that class with a C, and that was very atypical for me to get that kind of a grade. But I learned something. If it's hard, then it actually taught me of, what's it mean to work hard, because, education was kind of something that was given to me of, hey, this is easy. I went to school and it was, A's and B's and, no problem. But when I came into college and did some of the harder stuff, it was a good learning lesson. The other challenge, the other side of the fence, though, was I think that was probably the primary course that was difficult. That and finance was difficult for me. But the other courses, they were super easy because I was in the field, and I was actually looking at my book going, that's no longer relevant. That's changed. This is outdated. But you wouldn't know that if you're not in the field. And so in some instances, I was bored. I was bored going through and getting my education. I felt like I was going through the process, but it's okay. And actually, I think that if you're doing it right, you are a little bored, in a sense, because that means you're actually getting the real live cutting-edge information by being in the field. And so when you come here, you're able to then focus on the other things. You're not learning it for the first time. You're going, how do I dive deeper into this particular skill, which is good. And I was able to take nuggets of information, and that's the way I look at my education, is I have this nugget and this nugget and this nugget that I never would have had, and I was able to take that back and then apply it in the real world, which is pretty cool. I was able to take exactly what I learned that day and go, oh, wow, that would revolutionize the way I do things right now. And thus I was able to change something and see how it worked in the real world. That's why I always say, get an internship. Go out, get in the field, and it might not pay as much as delivering pizzas. My wife delivers pizza, and tips are really good. But you know what? That experience in your field is really what's going to fuel you to go further. What challenges, okay, I got that one. What skills and experience do you recommend for someone pursuing this career? Google AdWords certification is great. Having design skills or having coding skills for the development of websites. How many of you guys have built a website before? Okay. It's a good idea to get your feet wet and experience that, because what we're expecting out of the IT professionals or the people that want to be coders is not just, hey, I can make this function for you, but I need it to look great too. And that's a real odd combination of skills of, hey, I'm going to make it work functionally well, and you think in a logical way, and I'm thinking in an aesthetic way of making it beautiful. But if you're able to cross and combine those two skills, if you're able to do that and that fits your personality, that will make you an exceptionally well-paid coder, because you're able to take a full project and then run with it and then manage resources to make it happen the way it needs to happen. What, if anything, would I do differently? What are common mistakes people make choosing their career? To be honest, I'm satisfied with my route and how I pursued things. So there really isn't too much that I would change personally. But the common mistake. So common mistake is you go to college and you don't get experience, and then you come in and you go, I'm looking for a $40,000, $50,000 a year job. I go back it up with the experience, and they don't have it. And so they have that missed expectation of, I need you to have experience too. Or common mistake, I actually had someone that went to school, they were a graphic designer, and they had the experience doing their own work, doing their own graphic design at their free will. So they had experience, they had the degree, they got the job. 3 months into the job, they said, I don't like this work. I don't like doing this because I like doing, making the things I want to make. I don't like the fact that a client gets to tell me to change it a million times, and then they make it into a terrible thing that, it looks terrible compared to the way that I made it beautiful the first time. And that's the nature of the beast, is you are working for someone, and, you're bringing their vision to life. And sometimes, you could come up with exactly the most beautiful thing, and a client completely destroys it, unfortunately. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you have great clients that, they They just absolutely love what you produce. But to be honest, you're producing their vision. In high school, I worked for them as an independent representative. So no salary, just pure commission. Cold calls. I was handed a phone book. Everybody with the yellow page ad that doesn't have a website, call them. That's fun. Then came back and actually worked for them as a PPC coordinator. Then said, I kind of like sales. I want to try that some more. You know, it's better than boring putting together reports. At least talking to people, which I enjoy. And so they put me back in sales, again, doing cold calls. And that around the time of 2009, 2010, social media marketing kind of started to become a more popular thing of, it was something that was discussed of, we need to figure this stuff out. Big companies were just going, how does this apply? What do I do? What should I be doing? And so I went to our CEO and said, hey, by the way, caveat, CVO's my dad, so that kind of helps. Have a in. So I went to him and said, hey, the social media marketing stuff, I think that that could be a service that we could provide. Let's figure that out, because at that time we were just doing SEO and PPC and website development, which we don't do web dev anymore. And so he said, okay, figure it out. Okay. Did lots of research, read. I discovered, basically, the best thing I can tell you is if you want to figure out your industry, go to Google, type in, IT blogs or marketing blogs and see what comes up, and then start reading. And that will, and you'll find even more and better resources, that's just going to be kind of scratching the surface. But at that time, I discovered Mashable, which they've kind of branched off and become this bigger beast of lots of content about lots of topics, but they were very social focused in the beginning. I just constantly read, had it delivered to my email, followed them on Facebook. I think it was Become a Fan at that time. And so I got to know all of that stuff very, very well. Then they signed a client. I wasn't ready, mentally. They were like, oh, yeah, we have a new client. Her name's Leslie Campione. She's running for Lake County Commissioner. You're going to help her with her political campaign. Okay. And so I look back, and you will always look back, and you'll go, what I did was a bunch of crap. That is not as good as what I am now. And I think that's always the nature of the beast if you're improving. An artist, when they get done painting their painting, they immediately look at it and go, oh, because they painted it, now they're just a little bit better. And it's not as good. So when you look back, you go, wow, I did that. But nevertheless, ran the campaign. We're in Republican County. She got elected. It was, it was an easy thing in that sense. But so did that. The scary one for me was they signed a client, which they were a privately held company, so they're not going to be Fortune 500, but they were big enough that they basically could be just a little underneath Fortune 500. And they sold it for $4,500 a month that we're charging them for social media marketing services. I'm going, do they realize that I'm like 17? Do they know this? And I did go meet them at some point, and so they knew it. But I was able to help them for a year, help them figure out, hey, what should we be doing? How do we do this stuff? And I was able to lead them because they were just like, you're young, you know this stuff. And sometimes that is an advantage. After social media marketing, I did that in my dorm room, like I said, helped run Fairwinds campaign, things like that. Then when I came back from UCF, I had graduated, I then pursued sales again. I love sales. So kind of worked my way up of just being, I started a cold call team. We got our largest client ever, still with us, back in 2013, and because of a cold call. And if that's also a great skill to go out and win, is do 1,000 cold calls, do 2,000 cold calls, and you no longer have a self-esteem issue. You no longer have a concern of who you're talking to. because you've talked to everybody at that point. You've talked to CEOs, you've talked to VPs. If you can talk to them, you can talk to anybody. And you realize that everybody's just another person, and they're not all that different from you. And you gain that confidence. So, by the way, I just recommend it. Go make some cold calls for a company, and you will gain that capability to speak and to not be nervous. I can tell you, when I first started making cold calls, I didn't want anybody else in the room. I was just nervous about someone's going to hear me say something stupid. And then, I was really nervous. There were times I was like shaking. So I'm like, when I first started, I was 15, and I'm talking to, an owner or a CEO or something, and, they're much older than me. But you know what? At the end of the day, once my voice changed, then it was no big deal. But then progressed up the sales side, became the director of the sales department, got to manage that cold call team. I was no longer doing cold calls. Then became the VP of marketing and sales, and we no longer do cold calls because all these other agencies bring business to us. We don't have to. We support those other agencies in helping them close deals. So I help build out a team of sales professionals that are going to help our partners win business, which is pretty cool. So that's my career path. It is atypical in the sense that I've been with one organization the entire time. I think it is the average person is with a company a year or 2 years, and then they move on. And there's pros and cons to that. You're going to find some organizations that you just hate because you can't stand their culture, and it doesn't fit you. And there's going to be other organizations that you're going to fall in love with. And if you fall in love with what you're doing, stay there. Keep doing it. Typical workday. I am working for multiple different companies. So my 9 o'clock phone call, I'm ABC Marketing Company. My 9:30 phone call, I'm XYZ Company. My 9:30 phone call. My day is literally, if you looked at my calendar, every 30 minutes, I'm in a different meeting, probably representing another one of our partners, helping them close a deal. That's my day. From 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. because I need to be available for West Coast partners that we have. So that's a very packed day. Beyond that, though, is I have to help develop our sales professionals. I'm not the only one. I was kind of doing the work of 2 people for a while, and that was hectic. Now my schedule's kind of lightened out. It's not nearly as bad as that because now I've been able to hire somebody and bring them in and train them up. And that person, guess what? They actually didn't have specific industry experience, but if you're the right person, you're a teachable person, you've demonstrated that you've got the raw talent, I can work with that in the sales side. In the actual delivering the product side, not so much. You need to have the skills for sure. But if you're raw talent, I can help mold you to be able to work inside my industry. What are the most and least rewarding aspects of your job? Landing a really big client is really rewarding. I'm pure commission, and that's not common for a VP of marketing and sales, but I actually went to them and said, hey, look, guys, I love my commission schedule, I love my salary, but you know what? Let's just ramp up my commission, and I'll just go pure commission over the whole company size, and they said yes. So that is really rewarding when we land big clients. Least rewarding is when you have an unhappy client. Happens. You're no matter what, there's always going to be issues. We're working with other human beings, and so there's sometimes expectation issues. Sometimes there's just simply market issues of, hey, you have a great product idea, but the market's not there. No one wants it. So it's not that. That's the least rewarding piece. Is if I have a client that they didn't obtain success. But for the most part, as I've gotten better and better at what I do, I'm able to weed those out and go, hey, look, guys, this isn't going to be successful for this reason. It's not even worth you, moving forward to this stage. these are the things that you need to take in consideration before you even do anything or spend any money. So that's been good. That is actually rewarding. I'd rather turn away a customer than to sign an unhappy customer. So is my time spent working independently or collaboratively? A lot of independent because I'm talking to, the customer. But in the same sense, if I'm not just talking directly to a customer, I've got a partner in the room who's in that meeting with me. So we're kind of going off of each other, and it's all via phone. Phone and webinar, I don't meet 99% of our clients. And 70% of our clients don't even realize that they're working with that company because it's underneath a different brand name. So I do a lot of work with other folks. Where do I turn for mentorship and advice? Okay, so my dad is the CEO, and he's been doing this stuff for a long time, and it's been really fantastic to have him as a mentor. And if you don't have a mentor, that's another thing I'd say. Get one. And if you don't know where to get one, then I'd say, find an internship first, get involved in that, and then I'm sure somebody you're working with can be a mentor for you, even if it's just for a season. It doesn't have to be for years and years and years. They can be a mentor for a short amount of time. But having a mentor that's going to help move you along, and you literally, I would love for you guys to have the boldness to walk up to somebody and say, hey, look, you're really smart. I want to be that smart. I want to, be able to do what you do and be as good as you, or whatever the case might be. And will you be my mentor? If you actually have that conversation with someone and not just naturally learn, but say, I want you to be my mentor, then they mentally will shift and go, oh, I need to, what can I be teaching you? What can I give you? Because I think that a lot of the world wants to help you, but you have to want to help you first. So, but you got to ask. And what is one piece of advice you wish you would have been given during your undergraduate years? Don't worry so much about having the right degree picked out at the very entry-level stage. It's okay. You're experimenting, okay? That's why I went with a general business AA, is because I didn't know exactly exiting high school and into college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, and you guys want me to figure this out like now. And the nice thing is, I just said, just going to do general business. I'm going to figure it out from there, and it's okay. You don't have to worry about it so much. At the first 2 year stage, it kind of does get more important as you go into your bachelor's to have it kind of figured out of what are you going to do. And the other piece is, if you're not sure yet, before you go into your bachelor's, it is okay to say, hey, I am doing an internship. I am, figuring this out. I'm working in the industry, but don't wait too long. I will recommend against a break, if at all possible. Figure it out now. But if you have to take a break because you're just not sure, give yourself some slack, but set a deadline. I'm only going to take a break for this long, and keep, hold yourself accountable to that. And then once you know, then enter and get your bachelor's. So that's contact information, and that's a little hard to read, I realize. Suzanne at CareerSource Florida. So CareerSource Florida, if you're not familiar with them, really great organization, and you work with them, right? So.
I do.
Yeah.
So I do, and actually you can just come to me if you're interested, and I'll take
Cool.
it all from there.
Cool. Awesome. So, yeah, we have internships through them. Nice thing is, state of Florida has grant money and is able to pay the wages, and we're able to help build up people and get you ready for the workforce. So, any questions for me?
Yeah, I heard you said you dropped your coding department. You don't do websites no more?
We don't build websites anymore because a majority of our partners who send us the marketing work, they are web developers. So we have one web developer. He's web developer / graphic designer. So, he does a lot, and he's the one that's dedicated completely to the Orlando Magic. But that is a piece. We need that skill if you're going to do search engine optimization. You need to know how the inner workings of a website and how to make things better if you're going to do search engine optimization. So that is kind of an underlying requirement for us.
I went through a couple of different companies that, did the website building and the SEO, and they're two completely different things, and you have to concentrate on one of them. You can't do them both. Because some of the sites they would send back for me to approve, I finally got pissed off and just learned myself and wrote my own site because nobody could get done what I wanted done.
Yeah. There's really good website developers, there's really good SEO people, and we just decided, you know what? We're okay at building websites, but it's not us, it's not who we are. And so we decided we got partners, we can just recommend them right to our partners who are bringing business to us, so it's best of both worlds. But that is a underlying skill you need, just kind of the basics if you're going to be good at handling our SEO clients, because you need to know a lot of that. What other questions? Anybody got any nuggets that you took away that you're like, hey, yeah, I'm going to do that? Yeah?
The internship, definitely.
Yeah. Highly recommend it. Be reading industry resources. Go find them. If not the ones I said, then you can look up IT blogs.